the result you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding. It's currently 4 a.m. As you guys can see. 4 a.m. right now. Earlier, around 10:30 p.m., I decided to go on a run. It was a 40-minute run. It was night, windy, no earbuds, nothing. It's just my thoughts, dark. And right after I finished that, I did a 30-minute stairs. Then after that, I went back and jogged back again. And see, it's kind of dark, right? Extremely dark. I did when I got back, I did a 1 hour stairs. Right. And I don't usually post a lot about mindset or not in a great length, right? Um, yeah, here's the proof again. 40 minutes right after that, and then a 50-minute run, right? So all in all, roughly around 180 minutes straight of just me killing myself, right? And I say this not to brag, or I don't say this for you to, it's like, oh, look at me, I'm doing better than you. But it's more of earlier this morning, or this past few days or past few weeks, if I'm being truthfully honest, I've been feeling like a bitch, for lack of better words, right? And it's technically in the book of Can't Hurt Me, right? David Goggins says it's like the bitch voice, and you have the other voice, and he created this new identity, right? And I realized, if this is your first time seeing one of my videos, it's, I'm 22 years old and I've built a 6-figure company, and it's somewhat insane sometimes to think about, but that's not the standard that I want to be at. And I'm not satisfied, and I don't think you'll ever be satisfied. I'm content, I'm appreciative, but I know for a fact that my potential, I haven't even tapped into it yet. And I want to share this to you guys because right now, for context, right, I've been making roughly around 10 to 15K a month for the past 2 years, and I've taken it for granted. And at the same time, too, I've been complacent with it, and it's kind of crazy to say, like, oh, yeah, you're complacent on making 10, 15K a month. Peak months was 30K. And, if you're watching this and you're like, okay, well, why go to the point where you're killing yourself, right? And I realize it's always about the times when I evolved, or the times when I've experienced insane growth in my life, is the time when I voluntarily put myself in insane conditions. When I'm talking about, you're kind of just questioning in life if, okay, maybe I can't do this, but if I put my mind into it, it should be possible, right? And every time I finish something, like, I was like, oh wow, I finished that. Like, I could actually do so much more. That always was not something I would ever regret, right? It's like it always trajects me to something great, right? For example, a couple of years back, 2 years ago, when I quit my job, extremely stressful, extremely frustrating, and then I got a client, got let go of my client, and then after that, I ended up getting into high ticket sales, and I was taking calls, like shit ton of calls. Like, I was literally like slaving my life away, like 12 hours a day, right? And then after that, I ended up getting invited by some of my friends to go hike Mount Rainier back in Washington. And it was like a 4 or 5 hour hike, right? Extremely long. And going down, we went off trail. Literally, if I can show you guys a picture, but it's gonna take a while. But literally, if you make a misstep on go when we were descending, and we didn't have any like hiking gear or anything. We were just kind of like, no, it's just a bunch of boys kind of just like hiking for fun. You would literally like fall and die. Like that's literally how bad it was, right? But I knew for a fact that if I kind of like set myself a condition, if we're able to hit the peak of that, like there was like the trail there and we went all the way up, like from the toppest of the toppest, right? It's like if we're able to get to the top of this after going down, we'll be able to accomplish anything that we can in our life. Everything else is going to be much more easier. So now connecting it back to why I went on straight up, destroyed my legs for 180 minutes straight, no stop, kind of just kept going. It's the same thing, right? If you feel like you're complacent, you feel like you're feeling like a bitch, and you feel like recently you stagnated, and you feel like you're struggling on growing, and you don't know why it's not working out. Well, sometimes you just have to say, fuck it, and go do something extremely difficult and put yourself in an extremely uncomfortable situation. It could be physically or it could be mentally, right? But it's don't this is my philosophy in life. There's only two options. Either one, you get forced in an uncomfortable situation and you hate it because you can't control it, or number two, which is what I would always choose, is you voluntarily put yourself in an uncomfortable situation and you have some type of control into it and you know what to expect, right? But ultimately, it's like pushing yourself to its limits when you're literally telling yourself, why am I doing this? Like, it'd be better for me to die. Like, literally just put yourself in a situation like that. I know this sounds extreme, but this is what has made me gotten to this point at 22 years old. And I know for a fact I have to create a new standard for myself. And this is also a note to myself, and that's why I'm recording this video for someone out there. Maybe you've been stuck at your job, you've been stuck at the same situation the past few years, and you don't know what's next. Literally go out there, do something crazy. I know I have one of my friends who did like a 48-hour, like 2 mile jog, and then rest for 2 hours, then 2 mile jog for 48 hours straight, something crazy like that. And just put yourself in a situation like that, and you'll find confidence there on those times when you just start questioning yourself and you start knowing yourself. And I'm gonna be honest with you, my second time around running, I was getting a little bit teary-eyed. I was praying to God too, and I was like, I was just thinking about God and me running, and it was just so quiet. I just hear the cars pass by, and I'm like, why am I doing this? And I kept telling myself that anything I put my mind into, I can do anything. I can do anything that I put my mind into. Or the other one too is I can I will conquer anything that I put my mind into. And it's literally just mind over matter at that point. And again, if you've been stuck, I highly, highly recommend you go do something difficult for once in your life. And this is also going to be extremely beneficial for people who's kind of like, I don't have any confidence. I don't have any conviction in myself, especially if you're in sales, especially in your high ticket sales, you haven't gotten the results that you want, or any business opportunity that you're pursuing right now. And you've been stuck, you've been there for the past few years. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't know why you're not getting the results that all of your peers are getting. Why is that? It's because you keep avoiding the work and you keep avoiding the pain. Go face it, right? And then when you're going to do this physical exhilarating, challenge, don't put earbuds in. Listen to your thoughts. Listen to your mind. And obviously, the main thought that I had going through this is I didn't even plan it. It was just like I woke up today, felt like been feeling like really shitty this past few weeks, past few days, and I'm like, is this it? You know, like yeah, you've done this. You know, you've made some money, decent money at your age. You've helped hundreds of people and all that stuff. It's cool, but are you setting the standard? You know, if you want to put the goal much more higher, if you have a new goal, a big vision, then that means you need a new identity. That means new behavior, right? And that means killing your old self. And it's a constant cycle of that. If you always have a bigger vision, you will always need to adapt better behaviors, right? And then eliminating the old self. That's like a cycle that you'll always have to go through. Right? And again, this is not it's not gonna be easy. And then I literally told myself I'm okay if I die. I always tell that to myself, like, okay, it's fine if I die, as long as I know for a fact that I've given all I have at this very moment, right? And it might be crazy. And then I have some friends who does this in a regular. Like it's nothing crazy for them. Like, oh yeah, 2 hours endurance. Like that's not that bad. I have a friend who does I have someone in my gym in Muay Thai who does ultra marathon for fun, right? So I was like, okay, that's nothing crazy. Now, for me, who's never been an endurance person, like that's extremely putting myself in a uncomfortable situation, right? And then sometimes when it's dark, you start thinking about all of these things. Oh, what if there's a snake? Especially I'm in Nevada, and it's literally like at nighttime, and I'm like right by the like a empty land, right? When you go out to my apartment, it's like literally empty because it's a new area and they're just building new like buildings here. And I'm like, you know, maybe I may get bitten here and I don't have any, you know, like what if it's poisonous or whatever? Like there's this a bunch of stuff that's going through my head, but I just kept telling myself, if it's my time, it's my time. And then I told myself, I actually I didn't intend to do it twice. I just intended to go, okay, you know what? Let me go on a jog, and then that's it. And then during the jog, the very first time, like the 40-minute jog that I did, I was like, you know what? I'm doing this challenge right now, which is like one of them was 30-minute stairs. Why not just finish it off with that? And after I was doing stairs, when I got back, I did stairs, felt good. I was like, you know what? I can keep going. After 30 minutes, didn't, you know, my breathing was good. I'm calm, relaxed. So I kept going. I was, you know what? Let me go run again. Kept running, kept running. And then, okay, my breathing is good. Never felt this way, but felt pretty good. And I think a lot of people call this like runner's high or whatever, right? So I kept running. And then the spot that I went turned around on my first time around, I just kept going. And then kept going. I ended up going all the way up to the stoplight. So I ended up going around. It's like 15 minutes ride, but it was like extremely dark all the way out. And it's just like sometimes some cars are passing by. And after that, I was like, okay, I can't stop. I can't stop. I gotta keep going. And then you know what? I'm gonna finish this off with 30-minute stairs. Went under the stairs. You know, I was like 10 minutes in, 15 minutes in. You know what? I think I can do an hour. And I was like, I don't know. Let's just try. So I was just like, I just kept going, and then 30 minutes hit, you know, and then 30 minutes to 40 minutes like felt like forever. And then 40 to 50, I was dying. 50 to 10, 50 to 60 was just kind of like it's all mine at that point. I was like, okay, I just have to dig deeper here. And then I've never sweated that much working out. And I realized here too, and it might be a bit different from you, right? For me, I don't sweat usually when I work out. When I go to Muay Thai, it's like high intensity. I don't sweat too much. And I just realized it's because you have that identity within you that you don't really tap into. And you might relate to this if you're watching this video. There's someone in your inner self that knows for a fact that it can push so much harder, right? That's why that saying about David Goggins, right? If you feel like you're like that's it, you've already emptied the tank, you just 40% there yet. I don't know if it's Nim's die or or David Goggins, but they said the same exact thing, right? And then I was like, okay, well, I just literally satisfied that desire again of me literally pushing myself to its limit, right? And again, like going back in high school, like it was like very simple for me to do 2 workouts a day, go work out endurance, play basketball, all that good stuff. But recently, especially now, I'm not even old, but like 22 years old, I'm like full time entrepreneur. Like you kind of somewhat slow down, you kind of cruise. Yeah, like I just maintain. I go to the gym, I go Muay Thai, I train here and there, but I've never really pushed myself like that in a while. And it felt good. It's like it's a real dopamine. You're not just scrolling your life away, and that's not a dopamine, it's a short term. It felt extremely good at the end. After that, I ended up cleaning my place. So, again, if you've been feeling like stuck, I cannot emphasize this enough. And I feel like I'm a broken clock right now that keeps repeating himself. Literally, go do something extremely radical. I don't know what a better word is. That will make you kind of question life. Okay, well, why am I even here? Why do I even exist? And like, why am I even doing this something extremely difficult, right? Maybe you go hike something that's extremely hard, right? And I think it's always that experience. And if you were to go to our ancestors, I was thinking about my ancestors when I was doing the stairs from that 40-minute mark to 50-minute mark. And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go do stairs, put it in level 7. And after that, what I did like 20 minutes, level 7, and then 30 minutes, level 7 still, and then 40 minutes, put it at 8. Bam, 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 bam. You'll know what I'm talking about. When do stairs master, try to do it 30 minutes. But yeah, so during that time when I was doing that, I literally had to dig so deep, and I was literally thinking about myself. My ethnicity background is Filipino, right? And I literally tricked my mind, telling myself, "Look, your ancestors literally walked." So we have this thing in Philippines, right? Because we were captured by the Japanese during World War II. There was this like Bataan March, Death March, like, and then they had to like a bunch of Filipinos had to like march for hundreds of miles, right? And then if you, some people just die, some people get shot if they're slowing down or whatever. I was telling myself, this is not even nothing. It's a secured area that I'm putting myself in a comfortable situation. But my ancestors literally guaranteed if I go all the way deep down, one of them fought in that war and guaranteed that literally they survived. And me, here I am now complaining about, oh yeah, it's nothing, or like, oh, like life is hard, whatever, right? And you might relate. And then again, I just had to like dig deep that hard, and I'm like, okay, well, if they're able to do this and they're part of my DNA, some type of DNA strand is somewhere within me, and that went through that excruciating event, right? And being, captured by the Spaniards and being forced to work day and night, and then them being like a bunch of stuff, right? And I'm like, bro, this is nothing compared to what they done. This is probably their regular routine. So I was like, this is, yeah, like, why am I even complaining? I have to even go through just this is even nothing, right? So you just kind of like start pushing yourself that way, and then you're like, okay, well, and you realize you have so much more in the tank than you can think of, right? And yeah, like, so if you made it this far, even if you feel like you've been stuck recently, you're not getting the results where you want to get to, and even if you're doing business, right, it's not always, sometimes like the best ideas I've had, the best ways I've gotten insane results and my eureka moments was when I was not working in the business or working on the business, but it's literally me doing something completely different from the business, right? I didn't get into what I'm doing now because I was stressing out, figuring out what do I need to do next to make money. It's literally me going to the specific spot back in my hometown in Washington, and literally putting myself in a situation that, like, okay, abstain from sex, abstain from um anything, right? Like, oh, I like getting into what hanging out, or just simply like watching social medias or whatever it is. It's literally me just reading a book a week, waking up in a specific time for 6 months straight, just working on myself, right? And not even talking about business. I literally had to go back and work a regular job again. Like, that was already me spending $10,000 on mentorships, not getting any results. Like, made some money in trading, made some money in e-commerce, but that's about it. And I was like, okay, well, I can't, sustain myself and pay rent if I just depend on this. So I need to go work a regular 9 to 5 job again. So I went back, worked there for a couple months, 4 or 5 months. Literally, those months that I was working a regular 9 to 5 job, I literally just worked on myself. Meaning, I asked myself, am I even deserving of being successful? Am I even deserving to be running a six-figure company? Am I even deserving to be making 10K a month? And I made all of the list on why I wasn't. Well, I'm not consistent. I'm not disciplined. I don't sound confident. Well, I don't have that much conviction on myself. I have imposter syndrome. I don't have that much knowledge. You know, I don't have that any business acumen. I don't have that deep network. I have so many flaws in myself that I was like, okay, you know what? Okay, well, how can I fix all those things? So I made a list one by one. I told myself, okay, I'm not good at communication. Then let me pick up a bunch of books and audiobooks that will help me become a better communications, right? Communicating to people, right? Oh, I'm not disciplined. Okay, cool. Let me pick up some books about behaviors, some psychology and discipline. Right? That's why I read a bunch of books, and you guys can see in my back, right? This is like a third of the books that I've read and like skimmed through and like literally like dig deep in, right? Like, I've at one point I was reading a book a week, right? And sometimes I would even finish one book in like 3 days, and then I would read another one or like listen an audiobook, podcast, right? And then it's just like working on myself every single day for 6 months straight, not even thinking about business, right? And then I did something again completely different, completely uncomfortable. I spent my I stupid, but I spent my some of my savings, majority of my savings, to go visit my family back home. Why did I do that? A couple of years ago, I think it's like 3 4 years ago, I did a solo trip by myself to visit the family from Singapore. To visit one of my cousin was going through a cancer, um, and then I was like, you know what, I want to visit her. And then visit my family back home in Philippines. And that experience of me just traveling from Singapore to Philippines, and it was extremely eye-opening for me. Just being by myself, going through that motion of myself, um, seeing my cousin go through that battle from cancer, and now she's cancer free, thank God. And it got just gave me a different perspective of life, and seeing how much wealth Singapore had, right? And then going back to Philippines and being more appreciative of my family back home, and going to see, you know their living situation is not the most ideal, how they can still smile even though they don't have that much, and how privileged I am going back home, going back again to America, having a car, even though it was a Toyota Yaris that was like beat up, that was like 140K miles on the odometer, right? And then having a job and all of these things, I was like, there is no reason for me not to do better, right? And then it's just, again, I had to go to the root cause of why am I not confident? Why all the lists that I made, right? Like, why am I? Who am I? Who am I as an individual? And that is one thing that I would highly recommend for you guys, whoever's watching this, who've been watching this right now, 25 minutes in. Literally, all you need to do is go ask yourself internally, why are you not on the results you are on that you want or you desire? Majority of the time, you have this insane expectation, but your work ethic is like right here, right? Your behaviors and your discipline is right here, right? Maybe your information is right here and the expectation is right here. Information is pretty good, but it doesn't matter if you don't have the right behaviors, discipline, characteristics, if you have the right vehicle. That's why I realized when I did the drop shipping, the e-commerce marketing agency, the trading, all of these things, all of the plethora of all of the business models I've tried and failed on, right? At one point too, I was door knocking to, hey, do you want photography? Like some salons, barber shops. No, I was cold calling some plumbings, roofers. Hey, you guys don't have your website set up, whatever, right? I just realized that again, like I'm not deserving of even experiencing success at that point because my behaviors, my identity is not on par with my knowledge, or even my knowledge was little, but my expectation is right here. So I had to work on my knowledge and my behaviors, discipline, consistency to match the knowledge. Because again, you can have the consistency and discipline, but if you don't have the knowledge, then it's a waste of time. But if you have all the knowledge but you don't have the discipline, you don't have the behavior, the identity, then it doesn't even matter. So everything needs to align to itself, right? Because I see a lot of people, they're in the right vehicle, or maybe they're not, but because they haven't done the internal work yet, right? And I saw this video about there was this tree, right? And then it's planted extremely grounded to the root. And then I would even give a parable in the Bible when it talks about, if you build your house in the quicksand, then when bad weather hits it, then it's going to fall very quickly. I'm paraphrasing here, but if you build the foundation extremely well, even bad weather, strong weather hits it, it's gonna stay grounded and it will remain. It's the same thing with faith, right? So it's the same thing with that. It's like, okay, well, how do I build a good foundation, right? Because it doesn't matter. Maybe you see a bunch of people doing insane numbers online, but you're not there yet. Well, you can't compare where they're at right now to where you're at right now to where they're at, right? Why is that? Because you guys might see like, oh yeah, he did it. It's so simple. Like he literally just posted a couple of videos and he ended up getting a bunch of clients and that's it. And then he made $1 million a month or whatever. But you don't understand. You haven't seen the internal work that they've done. And yes, there's some one hit wonder that they might have gotten lucky, but who cares, right? Why does their life matter? Like you cannot control their life. It doesn't even matter like if they've gotten lucky. It doesn't even matter like what's going on with the people around you, right? Like why are you paying attention in that instead of paying attention to yourself? And you're wondering why you're not getting any results. Isn't that absurd? Like ask yourself this question. Like, oh, like yeah, I'm not getting the results that I want. You start complaining. Maybe some of your friends, you call up some of your friends, and you see this time and time because I've worked with hundreds of people. At this point, I've hopped in over 1,000 sales calls now, and it's the same thing. You realize like it's the same excuses in a different shape or form, right? They make some excuses. It's always like fill in the, this is my goal, and fill in a blank excuse on why they're not there. And that's why it's extremely important to have an accountability with someone who's done it already. Because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. And that ignorance that you have is just gonna keep you're gonna keep paying interest the longer you deny that you need help. Right? And that's the main thing that I see a lot of people time and time and time again make a mistake on. It's like, oh, I can just figure everything out yourself. Have you seen any successful entrepreneurs who just figured everything out by themselves? Do you really think Elon Musk figured out Tesla, SpaceX by himself? right? If you were to read his autobiography, right, and highly recommend it as well. If you were to check when he did the PayPal, and then before it was called like I forgot what it was called before, but it wasn't PayPal before PayPal. It was literally a bunch of founders or startup great minds going together, and they're like, let's build this cool thing, and then eventually they exited out of that, and all of those guys became a founder. Right? You need your own circle, and you need to get feedback from someone who's done already. And then next thing you know, he launched another business, right? And then he's known in the Silicon Valley. And then the thing is, a lot of people know about this, but he didn't build Tesla. Someone was building Tesla, and then they're like, "Oh, Elon Musk is a great CEO. We should get him here." And they couldn't grow the company, and then it was literally on the way on the brink of bankruptcy. Elon Musk came in. It's like he was like a part shareholder there, right? And I was like, okay, very interesting story. But long story short, like he always surrounded himself with greater, smarter people than him, right? And then even when in SpaceX, right? When everything was so expensive, like rocket fuel is expensive, parts of the rockets are expensive, and all of the engineers were like, bro, and we can't make it cheaper. And it's like, just make it cheaper. And if you were to look at the industry now, he literally made making uh, building spaceship much more cheaper because his goal is to put man, you know, human humans to Mars, and you can't have that happening if you can't get it to domestic. And again, that's like maybe like a bigger example, but if you look at Jeff Bezos and all of these guys, right? I've read his Amazon is everything. I forgot what exactly the name of the book now, but literally like he all the people that he surrounded himself with extremely smart, right? And then you have to be the caliber of an individual to attract that type of people, right? And that's what I realized as well, right? And again, I know this is a long-winded video now, but hope you found something valuable here. TLDR, go do something uncomfortable, right? Identify your weaknesses, and look at your discipline. Look at I'm literally telling you, go do something extremely uncomfortable. Because if you don't do something uncomfortable, if you don't voluntarily put yourself in a position to be uncomfortable, someone else will, right? It doesn't feel good. I've been there multiple times. It doesn't feel good when you just are reactive. You'll never ever become successful in entrepreneurship, in anything that you do, right? Build the foundations first, and then I guarantee you, right? A couple months now, this is not going to be like a quick overnight thing. Couple months from now, if you don't quit, you just keep going, you will see results. I guarantee you that. But I'm rooting for you. And as always, be a creator, not a consumer. Create something today that will inspire you and others. Peace out.